I'm gonna talk about a few things in a minute, but check out this shirt. My wife bought this. Got two of them delivered to our apartment before this last Halloween. It's pretty cool. Just a long sleeve light sweatshirt, and we wore these, many days fall around the Halloween holiday. We didn't really celebrate Halloween or dress up or anything. Go to and there's a couple parties we could have gone to, but we did wear these shirts for several days surrounding the holiday. Nice surprise, it hurts. So I just started my YouTube channel yesterday. And I've got a string of videos already. I think more than 10, around 10. But if you watch some of them and you think like some of the stuff is well, you might have a slight inclination that some of this stuff could possibly be way over your heads. Yeah, like light years over your heads, right? And considering the gravity of the situation, how time is determined by space and just the rotation of your planet on its axis or around a celestial star, another another globe, another sphere of energy. Um, and some of this stuff might be, you know, if you like reading the history books and memorizing things, and don't think about, well, why was that out of everything that could have been written? Why was this what was recorded? For example, the history books of, let's take the New Testament for example. If you 2,000 years ago, if you had the ability and the resources to write anything on paper that is still existing to this day and mass produce or push that stuff out to the public, um, you would have had you could have been the same ruling party that went to Jerusalem. And I found this out when I was 35 years old. I traveled to Jerusalem, and they told me that 2,000 other men were crucified on crosses. The women were forced into slave labor to do it. The women were basically in the community had to crucify their own husbands. They had to make the wooden crosses out of wood. Now, they also tell you on the tour, like, specifically, I was at the tour at the garden, not the Garden of Gethsemane, but the burial garden. There was a garden made for Jesus. They have a well underground. They discovered that recently in the last few decades. There was a well underground, just perfect drinking water. It was all made underground in that garden, that area where the story goes the Romans cut a very quick built cave to bury him, and there's a large round stone and it could roll over the front. It was right there. So we were on tour there, and the tour guide told us that, and that the majority of all those crosses were preserved and still stored in Bethlehem today. And when Jesus Christ was a Jew, and you're being told all this stuff by Jewish people, and then there's the theme in the whole story that Jesus was sold out by the Jews and crucified by his own people, and no one Jewish of any uh, of their religious values believes for a second anything to do with the New Testament. And further on, the more you look into what's actually written in the New Testament, like what I discovered, I'm gonna have to make a second video of why this is. But the New Testament and the story of Jesus Christ is the biggest slap in the face to the Jewish religion that could possibly be conceived. Not only for what I just mentioned, making him a savior and you know all of those beliefs, for everyone other than his own ethnicity. Like, okay, but I'm gonna go into specifically why the story of the New Testament, which I was raised in, in schooling from, went to a small Christian school, 9 years of my K through 12 education, did all this stuff on the weekends, was heavily involved in doing community outreach and passing out, free food and collecting tithe on Saturdays, singing in the choir, all this, stuff, right? And for the majority of my growing up. But I'll go more into why. I'm talking about history now. Why? So two things that I'm saying to tie it back into why are the things that, why do you have to call into question the things that are put into the history books when, there is valid concern why you should think about what is written. Was it intentionally written because there's an agenda? Well, yeah, absolutely. First off, they don't mention anything about Jesus' father. They just say it was a carpenter. The miraculous birth. His mother and father never actually had sex, and she was just impregnated by God because an angel visited or whatever. And then the other thing is they don't say anything other than Jesus argued with the Pharisees, the religious leaders, growing up in the, he was interested and studied, religion growing up in the Bible, and he was able to argue the points of the Bible against the religious leaders. That's the only thing he mentions. So basically everything in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, all those stories that took place and the supposed, miracles he performed, that would have all been talking about maybe a year, like the last year of his life. Virtually nothing else is talked about. What did he work doing as a job? Did he, ever have any military service? Did he, work with his dad in carpenter? It doesn't mention any of those things. You would think people would want to know. That would be something worth including written down somewhere about him, right? Some sort of information about what he did, or something about his family, or something other than a story to present him as a savior. So, second video incoming shortly.